Hi everybody, I'm Susan Mulvihill. Did you grow onions in your garden this year? If you did, I have a great recipe for you, and that is pickled onions. It doesn't matter whether you grew red onions, yellow, or white onions. All of these will work great. It's a simple recipe and it's really tasty. We have been putting it on salads and in sandwiches and casseroles, all kinds of things, and it is amazing. The thing I want you to know is that even if you didn't grow onions, run down to your grocery store and pick up a few because you are going to want to make this recipe. And just in case you're wondering what's going on outside, we've got a little snowstorm. So this is a perfect day for working on a project like this. I'm down in our basement, and do you remember how I showed you all of the red onions we had grown this year? We have been using them up like crazy, partly for this recipe and then of course in just regular cooking. We also have yellow onions of varying sizes, and these are shallots over here which we're not using for the pickling recipe. But boy, did we grow onions this year. Now if you're curious about these red onions, they're called Red of Florence. We got the seeds from Botanical Interests. I have seen similar ones with different names online from different seed suppliers as well. In theory, this is supposed to be grown as a bunching onion where you harvest them fairly young. We decided to let the majority of them grow for the whole season and harvest them as actual bulbs. And we're so glad we did because they are delicious. One thing I want to clarify about this recipe is that you will be storing the pickled onions in your refrigerator. They'll keep there for up to 3 weeks. Ours never last that long, so that tells you how good they are. So here's the ingredients you're going to need. 1 large clove of garlic, thinly sliced, about 1 pound of onions of your preference as far as type and color, thinly sliced, a tablespoon of salt, a 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, 1 cup of water, and then a total of 1½ cups of vinegar. Now you can use just one type of vinegar, but we like to combine white vinegar and apple cider vinegar. That has worked really well for us. We were also thinking that another vinegar you could use would be a red wine vinegar. To prepare each onion, I like to cut off the top and the bottom where the roots were, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut it in half from the top to the bottom. Then I'll peel off this dry, papery outer layer of skin, which is always a little tedious, but it's doable. There we go. And at that point, I'm going to cut the slices this direction, about 1/8 inch thick, without cutting myself. There we go. I'll add that to my pile of onions waiting to go into a container. Once I got all of the onions sliced, I went ahead and put them into a couple of containers. You don't need a canning jar, but this is a handy pint size and it has a screw-on lid. And then this is just a regular glass container that has a snap-on lid. I've also put the garlic into one of the containers, so we're going to have garlicky pickled onions and non-garlicky pickled onions. Now it's time to make the sweet brine. So into this little saucepan, I'm going to put in the vinegar, water, granulated sugar, and salt. I'm going to stir it all together for a moment just to start dissolving the sugar and the salt. And then I'm going to turn the heat on to high. Continue stirring it and I want to bring it to a rolling boil. Okay, the brine is boiling, so I'm going to carefully pour it over the onions. And I've got them on a hot pad just because I'm pouring this boiling liquid into the containers. I didn't want to have them right on the surface of the counter. And the goal is to cover both the onions and the garlic within the containers. So I'm just going to take my spoon and kind of knock the air bubbles out, make sure everything is submerged. There we go. The great thing about using red onions is that the color of these is so beautiful. So now I'm going to let them cool down to room temperature. Then I'm going to move them into our refrigerator, and in about 4 hours you will be able to start eating them. And then again, they're good for about 3 weeks. Well, was that easy or what? Let me know what you think of this recipe because we think it's fabulous. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I'll see you next week.